So now we are delighted to be joined by the co-founding artistic directors of 24/6, a Jewish theater company, Yoni Oppenheim, Jonathan Oppenheim, Yoni Oppenheim now,
Same,
and
all the
Avi Soroka.
Who
used
to be our interns
Yes.
here at Theater Talk, and now they've gone off.
To be grown
After
ups.
learning all they could learn from me, and they've gone off and they formed their own very successful theater company. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So tell us, what's the theory behind the theater company?
Our mission is to be a home for Sabbath-Observant theater artists in New York, and to rigorously engage in Jewish tradition in the work that we do to create innovative, cutting-edge theater.
So nothing on Saturday is what you're telling me.
No, Friday night, Friday sunset to Saturday sunset.
You mean so like the big weekend box office? You just guys decided that's that.
So there's no Saturday night performance.
Well, depends on when the Sabbath ends.
I see.
At some point, once the nights get longer, and there's more
like winter time.
Winter time, there's more
so
time
you
after.
late night cabaret still.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Interesting. And do you do new works? Is that the mission too, to do new works, or do you do revivals of classic works from Jewish theater?
Both new works and when we've done classics, we did a Purim, A Dollhouse by Ibsen. So it was a modern reset of a dollhouse set in post-Madoff, New York City, and so the banking issues come to light, and it was set on Purim and playing off of the Purim story and the aesthetic of a Purim spiel. We did Avi translated Uncle Vanya, which we did last year. He speaks Russian.
Yes.
And we said it during, there's a Tu B'Shvat ritual. Tu B'Shvat is a Jewish Arbor Day. And we interpolated the play with that ritual. When we do classics, we look at them through a Jewish lens. We just did a Dibbuk for Two People, which is Busmeyer's version of the Dibbuk, which is a Jewish classic play.
Now, Yoni, I've known you since you were a senior in high school. You had your yarmulke. You were a Sabbath observant. And here you are, all these years later. Why is that important to you to keep doing that?
Why is
an easy question, right?
An easy question.
You have
it's religion. It's belief.
No, but I'm going to a deeper place.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's secular over here.
And why is it important to do theater that observes the Sabbath?
Right.
That's it. All right.
So why is it important to do theater that observes the Sabbath? I think that essentially, as in college, for example, I was the only person in the entire Tisch program, which is hundreds of students, who was Sabbath observant with the yarmulke on their head. And theater's about everyone's different stories, and if essentially you're saying if you observe the Sabbath, you don't have a voice in the theater, you're cutting out, I would say a lot of people, but you're cutting out really interesting stories and really interesting perspectives on stories. So for me, it's from that perspective of what I love so much about Judaism is the story. I think we have a great story, the people of the book, and that we're a storytelling people. I connected to theater, so theater is a way to tell stories. I think for the Jewish community, particularly the observant Jewish community, who often don't go to the theater, we're giving them a chance to engage in their own. When we're doing A Dollhouse, that we're dealing with the issue of a woman's place in the Orthodox community, in the modern Orthodox community. When we're doing Chekhov, we're giving actors who otherwise would never in a million years get a chance to do a Chekhov play, a chance to do it. We're introducing Chekhov to an audience who's never seen his work, and we're introducing this interesting Jewish ritual to people who've never heard about it.
I mean, part of the birth of 24/6 was that I was working as a professional stage manager right out of college, and I was 21 years old when I got my union card, when I got into equity. And then suddenly, now I can only work on union shows. And when you're interviewing for a stage manager position and they tell you we rehearse Friday nights, the second I got into the union, all the doors closed for me. I did a season with the Arizona Jewish Theater Company, and when I came back, I couldn't find work anywhere. And I had to give up theater. Stage management as a profession. It was my passion, and I had to give it up, unfortunately, because.
But there's no question in your mind that's going to be, that you're not going to work on Friday.
Right.
No way, no how. You're not.
Right. It wasn't happening, and
It wasn't happening.
I was even actually. I remember I was 19 years old. I was working with a theater company, and the artistic director of that theater company pulled me aside. He said, I grew up as a Sabbath-Observant Jew. He said, you have to make your choice. Judaism or theater. You're not going to have both. And I said to myself, no, I'm going to make it work. And I stayed with that company, and I kept getting hired, and I got into the union, and everything stopped.
But I mean, presumably there are laws that they can't discriminate against.
Of course they're not going to. Of course they're not going to
employment
tell
because of your
you.
religion.
They're not going to tell you that's why they don't hire you. But when
But
it comes down to you,
there's a look. There's a look that you see.
yeah, it's like, well, but I can't be here Friday night, and I can't be here Saturday during the day.
And what's that? How's the look? You're an actor. Give us the look.
Yeah,
It's like I'm trying to restrain something. I've seen it.
there's a door, and
Even for things like observerships, honestly, as a director,
yeah.
for SDC observerships, and you get to the interview, and like a lot of people apply, and you're sitting with the director or with their assistant, and then there's that look, and you wonder, do I tell them?
Well, you don't. That's the thing. You don't mention it until you almost feel that you've got
And by the way,
the gig. It's like,
I
and
observe
by
the
the way, now that you've decided that I am the right person for this job, there's 25 hours out of the week where I just can't commit.
Right.
And is it just because you can't work those 24 hours, or are they like, ooh, well, we're kind of artsy theater people.
No, not
we
at
don't
all.
believe
It's-
in
well, not
these
at all. I mean, if
religions anymore. Is
That was never the attitude that I got.
It depends. I would say it depends.
You rehearse. Rehearsals Friday night, Saturday during the day. If they have to hire you and an ASM and an assistant stage manager, where they can just hire a stage manager who will be there Friday and Saturday, that's the route they're going to go. And like I said, I come back from Phoenix and I stopped working in theater, and at some point I was just getting hungry, and I got together with a bunch of friends, and I said, you know what? There are a lot of Sabbath-observant Jews out there who don't have a place, who just don't pursue the arts because they become accountants and lawyers and doctors and every stereotype in the book. And I eventually came to Yoni and I said, we need to do this. This
But
needs to happen.
you feel that sometimes the theater community is like a person who really believes in his religion? Do you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes. I think theater people are people of faith, but it's a different. it's a faith of the theater of something of something bigger and something magical, and that's why you do something live, because there's that communion between you and the audience. But you definitely have, or just. I used to be very eager to answer people's questions about why I do things, and at a certain point you get tired of it, and people don't ask other people about every single thing they do. So it does get exhausting at a certain point, or the feeling that you need to be the representative of a religion as opposed to just being an individual human being.
But yet it's your theater company because you're taking a righteous, and I mean that in a good way, position.
We're taking ownership of that.
Yes, yes.
Well, in some ways, though, you're like many people in the theater business who they couldn't get work. Not because they're Sabbath observing, but because there just isn't a lot of work. So they go off and they form their own theater companies.
And I think in general, I think it's exactly right. I think the attitude in the theater is often, especially for actors, when I talk to young actors and mentoring people, is sort of a mentality of you have to wait for somebody to give you a job or for someone's approval. And what I think people need to learn is, no, you need to take ownership of your
do it yourself.
life, your art, your career.
Create your own
and
theater
do it
company.
yourself. Create your own theater company, create opportunities, even if it's, just gathering a bunch of friends and reading a play. I remember Joe Montello saying that when he was younger, just meeting up with friends and reading plays together. I think I saw an interview with about A Normal Heart that he had read it years earlier. But the idea of always being creative and not just waiting around for opportunity to knock.
Well, that's how we formed Theater Talk, because Susan was waiting around for the call to replace Jane Pauley on the Today
Oh, yes, that's right.
And she decided, well, I didn't
That's
come.
really where I was.
So I got to form our own TV show. Now, before we wrap it up, guys, since you worked with us when we were just young and starting out, were we obnoxious bosses?
Susan wasn't.
I felt that
not at all, actually.
Susan was an early mentor for me, and she came to my first shows at NYU. I did Swan Song by Chekhov, and the generosity that I felt that I had here is something that I, now being a bit older and they're younger people, and I think the theater company wanting to create, the idea of generosity, wanting to create something not for myself, because at the end of the day I could gather actors and do any show, but the idea we want to do this thing for other people really comes from an example I got from the two of you, and especially Susan, because I'd written her a letter several years earlier, and to keep something for several years, and then when the schedule opens up, to write somebody and just be generous. And I remember you telling me to get the theatrical index. I was looking for an internship between end of high school and beginning the gap year in Israel, and you told me, look up the theatrical index, write different producers, And I did, and I got, before I went to Israel, I got an internship at Nico Associates, Manny Cloditis.
Yeah, I love it.
And that was through, I had emailed a different producer, and he forwarded this, the sense of people who are generous in the theater are the people that I love both working with, but who really inspire me, and I think the work that 24/6
Generous.
does.
That doesn't really describe me, does it?
But it was also,
You wrote me a recommendation for NYU saying that I know more about theater than you do.
Oh, good for
So
you.
you
that.
You did.
Oh, did you write that?
I probably did.
She wrote it.
But also, when it
they-
came to an issue of the Sabbath, there wasn't a problem. There was a filming that was on a Friday night. I said I can't be there. You guys didn't.
Right.
I totally
Right.
understand. That's totally fine.
We're progressive here.
You know.
And you got him the autograph.
And you got me Tim Rice's autograph.
Well, that was.
And you got me Tim Rice's autograph on top of that. Not only did I not have to work, I got a reward.
So
We
that's
are model employers.
You really are the
All
best.
well.
Congratulations on
Congratulations,
your success
Yoni,
with the theater
Yoni
company
and
called
Avi.
24/6, a Jewish theater company. Where are you located? Do you have a permanent base, or do you?
Do not have a permanent base.
Not a
So you rent space?
Yeah, when we need to rent space.
And we have relationships like with the JCC in Manhattan. We've had it with
We worked with
NYU.
the Sixth Street Synagogue for a
We
while.
were in residence. We just had a fire around the corner yesterday.
And Yoni was the dramaturg on Doug Wright's new play, Posterity, which is now at the Atlantic. I just want to say that that's an impressive credit as well.
Yes.
Both of you, congratulations. We're
Well,
very
much.
proud of you.
And I think anyone, young people watching the show who want to be in the theater, take the example and go out and create your own theater.
Yep.
Don't wait around for the phone call.
That's right.
Right. Okay. Yoni and Avi, great to see you guys again. Thanks, guys. Good luck with the
Thank
theater.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.